So welcome back to another episode of Roll for Puppet, the series where we let these dice design our next creature. Today we're back with episode 8 of season 4. I hope you've been enjoying all of the episodes thus far. And if you're looking for a little bit of context, the first 3 seasons of Roll for Puppet are now uploaded as full compilations, linked in the description below. But for now, let's get started by rolling for our head shapes. We have our D20 and we have a 12 for the Wilson head shape, which is a brand new head shape. Really excited to show you, but first of all we need our personality with our chaos dice. And we have rolled Dealer's Choice Personality, so the dice are trusting us today, and we're going to go with Under the Sea vibes, because that has not been rolled yet this season. So, brand new personality, brand new head shape. This is a very exciting episode. Starting off by cutting out our Wilson head shape foam pattern with our reticulated foam. Cutting it out on the lovely bandsaw, and there's some very exciting bandsaw related merch on its way. It was suggested by one of you, and I think it's probably some of the coolest merch ever, so look out for that. Once the whole pattern is cut out on the bandsaw, we're obviously going to glue it together with our contact adhesive for our Forbidden Honey sandwich. We were actually watching back the compilations of season 1 and just looking at the difference in even the speed of the way that we glue things, the way that we film things. A lot of our techniques have just developed and sped up a lot over the last couple of years, because we have made like maybe 300 puppets in the time that we've been doing Roll for Puppet, and that is intense. So we have definitely sped up some of these processes. We have our S for sexy on the mouth plate, which gets glued together with the forbidden ice cream sandwiches into the puppet's head. And you're going to get your first ever look at the Wilson head shape. And I just realized I misspoke. It's way more than that, because we've also made at least 200 gerbils in that time. So it's closer to maybe 500 puppets. Anyway, here we have the Wilson head shape. It is really fun, really unique. It has these beautiful big smiley cheeks. Just such a fun, expressive head shape. So now, of course, we need some colours on our puppet. First of all, the amount of colours is going to be 3. So now we have to roll for those 3, and we have 1, 3, and 4, which is going to be for red, green, and white. That's the colours of the Welsh flag. I'm not saying anything, but thank you, dice. That's really cool. First off, we had to refill our armature wire pots, so we had to whiz up some wire, and I just thought it'd be cool for you to see a process that you don't normally get to see at all. So these are the bits that we pose into the hands that you normally see on a build. That is just how we create them. It takes a little bit of time before each build. And then, of course, we're going to glue them into place, and then spray those hands together. Whilst they dry, we're going to move on to the fabric stage. And the cool thing about these videos here on YouTube is we can show a little bit more of the process, and we can show some parts of it in more depth, because for the TikTok videos, these have to be cut down so fast, and we can show such little of the build. So it's really cool that we can show you everything that goes, not quite everything, but most things that go into making these puppets. So moving on to the fabric stage, we want to definitely go with mostly green on the body, and then bring out the red and the white in the features and the eyes and things like that later on. But for our underwater creature, we want them to look like a creature from the deep, from the depths. So they're going to be absolutely adorned, as you can imagine, in living, colourful textures later on. We want them to basically look like a reef come alive. So the green is going to be the nice base, so we have this lovely green fleece, and then this kind of wispy, mossy green fur on the back of the puppet. We wanted it to have a belly button, but a little bit of a different belly button, and you will see why at the end. So normally we have a belly button that is kind of like a bead or a sewn piece that sticks out, so an outie, but we decided to go with an innie. And it is absolutely adorable. We added a little bit of shading and glued that belly button feature in. And it will all make sense later on, don't worry. So moving on to the arms, I'm going to have these furry, wispy, mossy green fur arm tubes. I'm going to cut out, and they're going to be sewn together with the hands later on. But then I'm just going to hand sew the seams on the puppet's face. Look at the shape! As soon as it has the fleece on it, the shape and the smile really comes to life. I just think this is such a cute head shape. So I'm going to sew up those seams, and this was a little bit of a tricky sew. The thread was twisting for some reason, so I was having to kind of put my finger in each seam as it went. It took a really long time. But we got there in the end, and then we're just finishing off the puppet's face by gluing on the chin sections and then sewing up the seams on either side. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with 4 hours worth of sewing, but you get the gist. Then we're going to have little green fleecy hands, which we're going to sew up on the sewing machine and then hand sew back onto the arm tubes. And these are just such cute little hands. So once they are cut out, turned inside out, I'm then going to stuff the posable foam armature hands inside. And we're just going to cut to that being done because that is a boring process, but once those are ready, we're going to sew them onto the arms. And then of course the arms are going to be ready to be doll jointed onto the puppet's body. We have our little happy dance and our colourful reveal so far. Base colourful reveal. The other colours are going to come out later. So now we need to roll for our eyes, and we have 6 for odd eyes. Now I know a lot of people hate the odd eyes. I personally love them because I love the chaos. So we have 1 cabochon eye, 1 dot eye, and they're different sizes and different heights as well, so it's going to make for a very unique expression. So I'm just finding the right positioning for them, cutting back the fleece and the foam to put the bolt through, screwing them into place. Moving on to a bright red pop of colour for the tongue, because every puppet needs a tongue, so we're just going to sew up this little fleecy one. The green, the red and the white together are... that is an immaculate colour combination. The dice knew what they were doing. Look at this little guy. Such cute expressions. Oh my goodness. Now, of course, we need our features. So we have 2, 5, 12 and 19. And that is going to be for ears, hair, spots, and doubling up on something. So first of all, we're going to get started with some expression for the eyes. We wanted a little bit more of a red pop of colour on the head. So we're just marking out where we want this bright red fleece to be for the eyelids. We're going to glue them in place and then screw those eyes back onto the puppet's head. Then moving on to the hair, we're going to have a little bit of an interesting combination for the hair. First off, a little mini green puppet wig in the same fur as the puppet's body and arms. And we're just going to sew that up to make sure that it fits, and then we're going to place that on the puppet's head while we work on their longer hair. This is so fun. So we have this really beautiful false kind of pond weed, seaweed. It looks like worm on a string if it was alive. This wonderful, beautiful textured material that the movement of it is just absolutely amazing. So we're going to attach that underneath the wig, and then we're going to sew the wig on top of that to just double secure it. And I absolutely love the way that this green material, I don't know what to keep calling it, but I love the way that it moves and the way that it falls. This creature has immediately become a sea creature. Now, as our first spots for the puppet, we have these red kind of mossy coral features that we're going to attach all over the puppet. So we're going to have some in the hair, we're going to have some on the hands, some on the body, and it's just going to look like these spots of moss or coral that are growing out of the puppet. We all know that I love when it looks like a puppet is growing something, some vegetation. This is just so fun, and I love the pops of red that it is kind of bringing out between the green. Now for the ears, we have these 3D printed coral ears. They're kind of like a mix between ears and horns, but these are the ears that this swampy deep sea creature would have, and they're just growing directly out of the puppet's head. And it's another lovely little pop of white. Now for our second spots, because we're doubling up on the spots, we have these little bubbles, these little glass bubbles. Oh my goodness, they are so cute and such an unexpected texture. We have definitely never added anything like this to a puppet before. We're gonna give them a little bubble belly button. That's what... So this kind of looks like the puppet has emerged from the sea, and all of these bubbles are just popping up all around them as they've come up for air. And there's just loads of sea bubbles covering the puppet. Look how adorable. The different textures and the different... Can you just tell that I I adore this. This is such a fun added detail. The bubbles, the coral, the moss, the seaweed, all the details on this puppet are just really taking it to the next level. I love it so much. We're going to add a little bit of shading just around the eyelids of the puppet, a little bit of shadow just to deepen up their expression, and a little bit on the tongue as well. And we're going to be ready for our finished puppet reveal. This is the puppet from the deep. So they have emerged from the depths of the dark, cold sea. They're covered in seaweed and coral and moss and bubbles. They're bubbling. That is just so fun. Remember, there will always be a second version of every episode without my annoying voiceover. I hate having to listen to my own voice too, but here is the finished Season 4, Episode 8, Under the Sea Puppet. The colours are just perfect, and as you can tell, I had a lot of fun bringing this one to life. I love the details and the different textures. They are fluffy and scruffy and a little bit mischievous, but still really, really adorable. And I hope you love them. So as always, please leave a detailed backstory, overly detailed backstory and name in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget, if you would like to support the show and help us keep making content like this, you can head over to our Patreon. There's lots of fun perks. You get access to a Discord server, you get discount codes to our websites, you get voting power, early and ad-free episodes, and pins of the month. Head over there and we'll see you very soon.